Hey everyone, welcome to the Full Monty. I'm Philip, creator of this crazy thing that's going on. Basically, just a live view of a reboot. That's what's going on. So, let me tell you a little bit about what's going on. So, at 55, I found myself, I was literally at this crossroads. I was 250 pounds, drinking heavily, estranged from my family, financially stressed, battling huge depression. I didn't even recognize the person that I'd become. And the turning point came when I visited my kids after a long absence. And as I was driving home, I realized, everything just kind of hit me, and it was like a freight train. I need to grow up and take ownership, right? I need to grow up and take ownership of my life. There was no more excuses, no more hiding. It was time for me to, just go through a full reset of everything that was going on. And so my journey, it kind of began with this critical, challenging piece, and it's right up here, it's in my fucking noggin. So over a decade, I struggled with negative thought patterns, self-destructive tendencies. I was like trapped in this fog that I didn't even know that I was actually trapped in, and I was just kind of like passively observing life just go by, right? And as it was going by, my own life, man, it was just freaking unraveling right in front of me. And what I've since learned is that, that same mentality, that same mental energy that pulled me towards destruction, it also held the power to propel me forward, to begin to rebuild my life. And the key was understanding and harnessing that power that was there. And I'll tell you, I never really believed in all the bullshit, imagine the future and it'll get you there. That was all freaking hogwash to me. But then all of a sudden, I created, my feelings, like this is what I want to do. And all of a sudden it started driving actions, and ultimately it started showing results, that was going on. And the shit, it started working. By becoming aware of, and intentional choosing my thoughts, I realized I could shift that entire trajectory of my life. Instead of going down, maybe can I go up? And I was like, what the fuck? This shit is real. So I started by identifying the thoughts that were holding me back. Things like, I'm not good enough. It's too late for me. I'll always be stuck. Each time, every time those thoughts they arose, I acknowledged them, but I did something different. I refused to buy into them. Instead, I practiced replacing them with, empowering alternative kind of things. Man, I'm capable of change. I am in control of my future. Every small step really does matter. And I was literally rewiring my brain through a daily practice. And I started putting in these powerful inputs, positive things. I started listening I was at the local watering hole, and this, I call him Young Buck, man. He turned me on to the podcast. I'd never listened to podcasts before. I started listening to it. Man, I can't, every time I'm at a specific place, I play it and I get an hour's worth of this podcast. I love it. Books, man, I consume tons of reading material, conversations, not just with my buddies at the bar, but, growth oriented people. And slowly but surely, man, my internal dialogue, everything began to shift. I started to believe change was possible, and that belief became the bedrock of my transformation. Was this belief? Another thing that happened was ruthless refocusing, man. I started prioritizing, what matters. As my mind over that decade and I started to make that mental shift, I focused on my daily habits. Man, for years I was just spinning my wheels. I was buying myself, just busying myself with these trivial tasks, neglecting everything that was essential that I should have been paying attention to, and doing everything that probably I shouldn't have been doing. And my energy, it was scattered, it was focused, and it was unfocused, and it just diffused. And I needed to ruthlessly eliminate distractions and zero in on what mattered most to create a meaningful change in my life. And so I took a life audit, man. I took an honest look at how I was spending my time and energy, and the results were crazy and somewhat painful. I was devoting hours to mindless, social media, wasting nights on drinking, and allowing low priority tasks to just dominate my world. And meanwhile, my health, my relationships, my long term goals, they all just, man, they're back there. right, nah, they were just weren't there. And so as I got armed with this awareness, I committed relentless refocus, identified the areas that would make the greatest impact in my life. My physical well-being, man, career development, family connections, education. Those things became my non-negotiables. The activities I would prioritize above everything else that was going on in my life. Every single morning, I woke up to a rewritten to-do list. Rather than tackling all the minor things first, I forced myself to start with the vital few, man. I time blocked my schedule. It's literally time blocked my schedule. Carving out sacred hours for exercise, focused work, quality time with loved ones, and I set boundaries around my escape activities, limiting social media, cutting alcohol, Doesn't mean you can't drink or you can't do that, but literally if it impedes on those things, you're out, baby. Bye bye. And this refocus required difficult, take trade offs for me. It took serious self discipline. If you read the full Monty, our newsletter, man, I'm all about discipline these days. And it meant saying no to invitations, deprioritizing things that weren't so important, uh, facing discomfort head on. And that's, me owning my own bullshit. But as I stayed the course, I began to see these shifts start to occur. My productivity skyrocketed, my relationships deepened, and my self-respect started to rebuild. And by channeling my energy towards what truly mattered, all of a sudden, the needle, it was moving. Another thing, relentless consistency, man. The power of small disciplines. Change it's not an event, it's a process. It's the accumulation of small daily choices that over time rewire our identities and rewrite our stories. No one becomes fit, successful, or fulfilled by just some grand gesture, right? Rather, it's just quiet consistency. No one else is around, but you're still out there fucking doing it. The unglamorous everyday habits that ultimately shape who you are, right? This was a hard truth for me to accept. I wanted quick fixes. I wanted overnight results. But decades of struggle had proven that approach was futile, man. If I wanted to create lasting change, I needed to embrace the power of relentless consistency. I started small, focused on one key habit, my morning routine. That was the first thing I tackled. Instead of sleeping in, nursing hangovers, I committed to waking up at 4 a.m., hitting the gym. The first week was brutal. My body was like, fuck you. My mind, stay in bed. My resolve, it wavered. Why am I doing this? But I showed up anyway, day after day, until it became a non negotiable. And that one habit became the catalyst for a chain reaction. You know, energy levels started increasing and my confidence growing. I found myself tackling, other areas. I had this new zeal that was going on. I began meal prepping, I actually taking my lunch instead of freaking going to Mickey D's and slamming down a freaking hamburger. I was bringing my own lunch. I was like, what's going on? I felt like an old man with the little tin lunchbox thing going to work, man. Right? I started blocking off focused time at my work and showing up fully present for my kids. The more I followed through on my commitments, the stronger my self trust grew, and that's a huge thing, man. You got to be able to trust yourself, right? And another thing I learned was progress. It's not linear. There's slip ups, there's setbacks along the way, but by keeping my eye on the larger trajectory, I was able to rebound quicker and maintain momentum. And each small win, man, it fueled the next one, to on the next one, onto the next one. And all of a sudden, instead of this cycle of destruction, man, I was in this cycle of freaking growth. It was awesome. Vulnerability and connection, right? It change doesn't happen in isolation. We're wired for connection. And it's through our relationships that we find the support, the accountability, and the inspiration to become our best selves. For much of my life, I'd viewed vulnerability as a weakness. I hid my struggles. I put on a brave face. I suffered in silence. But that approach only led to more pain and isolation. That's all that it did. Part of taking radical responsibility was owning up to the damage I'd done to my relationships. I mean, I had to confront the ways in which my addiction and absence had hurt those that were close to me. This meant having difficult conversation, offering sincere apologies, and committing to show up, right? And show up in a different way. And one of the hardest moments, and one of the things I talked about that changed everything, was facing my children again after years of isolation, right? I didn't make excuses. I didn't skirt responsibility. Taking and looking somebody, look at somebody right in the eye, doing that kind of stuff. Those conversations are terrifying. They're humbling, but it marks a turning point in a relationship, right? So I continue to open up to it. I discovered, there is a healing power of vulnerability. It's there, and that's what this whole thing is about. I can't even believe I'm doing a video. I never do videos. The full freaking Monty, man. Warts and all, right here. You change, daily, daily, daily. And at the end of the day, the other thing I took extreme ownership. Right? The buck stops here. At the end of the day, I'm the only one responsible for my life. It's not my parents, it's not my partner, it's not my boss, it's not society, it's me. Me. And this realization is terrifying, but it's also liberating. I mean, I could no longer blame all these external circumstances for my discomfort. But it also meant I held the power to create the life that I desired. Okay? Extreme ownership, that's my mantra now. In every area I was struggling, health, finance, relationships, career, I forced myself to look in the mirror and I asked, what is my role in this? What can I do differently to change the outcome? By taking, full responsibility, I was able to make this shift from a victim mentality to an empowered mindset. And this approach required brutal honesty and humility. It meant owning up to my poor financial choices, acknowledging ways I had neglected my health, accepting my part in strained relationships. I wasn't about the self-blame, but rather about recognizing my agency and committing to do better. And I did that one powerful thing that was so proud of my life, and it removed guilt. Guilt was destroying me. And as I, started practicing extreme ownership, I became more proactive and solution oriented, man. Instead of complaining about low energy, I researched and implemented a nutrition plan. Rather than laminate about a career growth, went out, got additional training, got a better job, pays more. Now it's not paycheck to paycheck, right? By focusing on what was within my control, I could create just meaningful momentum. And momentum is everything, man. And I started embracing extreme ownership. Also meant celebrating my success. That's something I've never done for so long. I downplayed my achievements. I deflected praise, but part of taking responsibility was owning my wins, acknowledging my what progress I'm making. As I hit milestones, first 15 days lost, freaking a ton of weight, just fell off because I could see it was working. Earning a promotion, I got a better job, better pay, more responsibility. Rekindling relationship, but kids actually respond when I reach out now, Just pause and savor the moment. I gave myself credit. Give yourself credit, man. Those celebrations, that fueled my motivation, man. It reinforced my commitment to growth. Celebrate, man. So the road ahead. My transformation journey, it's far from over, man. That's what the Full Monty's all about. You get to watch live, Either I'm going to crash and burn or I'm going to survive this thing. I don't know what's going to happen. But every day presents new challenges and opportunities, man, just to fall back in old patterns. But armed with the principles of mental mastery, relentless refocus, consistent action, vulnerable, connection, and extreme ownership, I feel pretty equipped to face whatever lies ahead. So I want to say this to anyone feeling stuck, hopeless, out of control, know this. Change is possible. No matter your age, your background, current circumstances, you have the power to rewrite your story, man. It won't be easy. It won't happen overnight. But by committing to personal responsibility and taking it one day at a time, man, you can create a life beyond your wildest imaginations. I have pretty wild imaginations, and I'm going to surpass that. What do? Start small. Pick one freaking thing, one area of your life that feels most out of alignment. Set a goal, create a plan, take one step forward, just one step forward. After you take that step, what do? Take another step and another step and another step and another. Surround yourself with people who will challenge and encourage you, man. I got people stepping in my life. People know what I'm doing. I haven't even told people, and they know I'm doing something. And then somebody tells them, yeah, well, this is what Phil's doing, man. And then if I start getting squirrely, they're like, hey, dude, that's not part of your plan. Yeah, you're right. Bring it in check. Celebrate your wins. Learn from your failures, but keep going. Remember, your life, your responsibility. No more excuses. No more hiding. Step up, own your truth, create the life you deserve. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with what? One simple step. So take that step and know that you have what it takes to go the distance. All right, guys, this is our first video. I'm Phil, the Full Monte. Just kind of want to lay the groundwork, what we're about. I want to thank you. If you actually made it this long in the video, you're freaking amazing. If you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and do so. And we are going to continue just punching people in the gut and punching ourselves and making sure that we come out on the other end much better than the way we went in. All right, guys. Hope you guys have a great day.